Contemplation Sutra, delivered by Shakyamuni Buddha, translated into Chinese during the Liu Sung dynasty by the Tripitaka master Kalayashas from Central Asia, translated from Chinese by Hisao Anagaki. The Buddha said to Ananda and Vaidehi, "Those born in the Western land are of 9 grades. Those who attain birth on the highest level of the highest grade are sentient beings who resolve to be born in that land, awaken the 3 kinds of faith, and so are born there. What are the 3? They are first the sincere faith, second the deep faith, and third the faith that seeks birth there by transferring one's merit. Those who have these 3 kinds of faith will certainly be born there. There are 3 other kinds of sentient beings who also attain birth. Who are the 3? They are first those who have a compassionate heart, abstain from killing, and observe the precepts. Second, those who chant the Mahāyāna sutras of greater scope. And third, those who practice the 6 forms of mindfulness. They aspire to be born in that Buddha land by transferring there the merit of practice. With the merit acquired from doing these acts for 1 to 7 days, they attain birth. When an aspirant is about to be born in that land through dedicated and undaunted practices, the Tathagata Amitayus arrives together with Avalokiteshvara, Mahastamprapta, innumerable transformed Buddhas, a great assembly of 100,000 monks and Shravakas, and innumerable devas in 7 jeweled palaces. The Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara, carrying a Vajra seat, together with the Bodhisattva, Mahastamprapta, approaches the aspirant Amitayus, releases a great flood of light, which illuminates the aspirant's body, and along with the Bodhisattvas, extends his hands in welcome. Avalokiteshvara and Mahastamprapta, together with innumerable Bodhisattvas, praise and encourage the aspirant. Seeing this, the aspirant rejoices so greatly as to dance. Then he sees himself sitting on the Vajra seat, and following the Buddha, is born into that land in the time it takes to snap one's fingers. After being born in that land, he sees the Buddha's body complete with all its physical characteristics, and also the bodies of the Bodhisattvas, equally complete with all their physical characteristics. Hearing the discourse on the wonderful Dharma sent forth by the light and the jeweled trees, he then reaches the insight into the non-arising of all Dharmas. In a single moment, he visits and worships all the Buddhas of the 10 quarters, and receives from each of them the prediction of his future Buddhahood. Returning to the Pure Land, he is endowed with innumerable hundreds of thousands of dharanis. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the highest level of the highest grade. The middle level of the highest grade. Those who attain birth on the middle level of the highest grade do not necessarily uphold and chant the sutras of greater scope, but comprehend the teachings of the Buddha so well that when they hear the supreme truths, they are not dismayed. They have deep faith in the law of karmic causes and effects, and do not speak slightingly of the Mahāyāna. They transfer the merit acquired to the land of utmost bliss, aspiring to be born there. When such an aspirant is about to die, Amitayus appears before him, surrounded by Avalokiteshvara, Mahastamprapta, and innumerable sages and attendants, carrying a purple-gold lotus seat. The Buddha praises him, saying, "Son of the Dharma, because you have practiced the Mahāyāna and appreciate the supreme truths, I have come to welcome you." So saying, he and 1,000 transformed Buddhas extend their hands all at once toward the aspirant, who, seeing himself sitting on the purple gold seat, joins his palms and praises the Buddhas. In an instant, he is born in a 7-jeweled pond of that land. The purple gold seat has become like a great jeweled flower, which opens after one night. The body of the aspirant has become the color of purple gold, and beneath his feet are 7 jeweled lotus flowers. The Buddha and Bodhisattvas together release a flood of light, which illuminates the aspirant's body. His eyes open, and because of the store of merit from his previous life, he hears voices everywhere, expounding only the most profound and supreme truths. Descending from his golden seat, he bows with joined palms and praises the Buddha, the world-honored one. After 7 days, he immediately reaches the stage of non-retrogression for realizing the highest perfect enlightenment. He is also able to fly in the 10 quarters, as he wishes, to revere all the Buddhas and learn various samadhis from them. After the lapse of a smaller kalpa, he attains the insight into the non-arising of all dharmas, and receives from each Buddha the prediction of his future Buddhahood. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the middle level of the highest grade. The lowest level of the highest grade. Those who attain birth on the lowest level of the highest grade likewise accept the law of karmic causes and effects, do not speak slightingly of the Mahāyāna, and awaken aspiration for the highest enlightenment. They transfer the merit acquired to the land of utmost bliss, aspiring to be born there. When such an aspirant is about to die, Amitāyus, together with Avalokiteshvara, Mahastamprapta, and a host of attendants, come to welcome him, bringing a golden lotus flower and manifesting 500 transformed Buddhas. Those transformed Buddhas extend their hands all at once and praise the aspirant, saying, "Son of the Dharma, since you have awakened pure aspiration for the highest enlightenment, we have come to welcome you." When he has viewed all this, the aspirant finds himself seated upon a golden lotus flower, which then closes. Following the world-honored one, he immediately attains birth on a 7-jeweled pond. After a day and night, the lotus flower opens, and within 7 days, the aspirant beholds the Buddha. Although he sees the Buddha's body, he is still unable to discern his physical characteristics and marks clearly. But after 3 weeks he sees them distinctly, and also hears all the sounds and voices proclaiming the wonderful Dharma. Then he can travel in all the 10 quarters to make offerings to the Buddhas and hear their profound teachings. After 3 smaller kalpas, he acquires clear understanding of the 100 dharmas and dwells in the stage of joy. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the lowest level of the highest grade. These 3 together are known as the contemplation of the highest grade of aspirants, and the 14th contemplation. To practice in this way is called the correct contemplation, and to practice otherwise is incorrect. The highest level of the middle grade. The Buddha said to Ananda and Vaidehi, "Those who attain birth on the highest level of the middle grade are the sentient beings who keep the 5 precepts, observe the 8 abstinences, practice in compliance with various precepts, and abstain from committing the 5 gravest offenses and other transgressions. They transfer the merit acquired to the western land of utmost bliss, aspiring to be born there. When such a person is about to die, Amitāyus appears before him, surrounded by a host of monks and radiating a golden light. He then expounds the truth of suffering, emptiness, impermanence, and no self, and praises renunciation of the world as the way to escape from suffering. Seeing this, the aspirant greatly rejoices and finds himself seated upon a lotus flower. He kneels down, joins his palms, and worships the Buddha. Before he raises his head, he attains birth in the land of utmost bliss, where his lotus bud soon opens. When the flower opens, he hears various sounds and voices extolling the Four Noble Truths. He immediately attains arhatship, acquires the 3 kinds of transcendent knowledge and the 6 supernatural powers, and realizes the 8 samadhis of emancipation. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the highest level of the middle grade. The middle level of the middle grade. Those who attain birth on the middle level of the middle grade are the sentient beings who observe for at least a day and night the 8 abstinences, the precepts for a novice, or the complete precepts of a monk or a nun, and do not violate any of the rules of conduct. They transfer the merit acquired to the land of utmost bliss, aspiring to be born there. When such an aspirant, perfumed by the virtue of observing the precepts, is about to die, he sees Amitāyus coming towards him with his attendants, radiating a golden light and carrying a 7-jeweled lotus flower. He hears a voice in the sky above praising him, saying, "Man of good deeds, since you are virtuous and have followed the teachings of the Buddhas of the 3 periods, I have come to welcome you." The aspirant finds himself seated upon the lotus flower. The flower having closed, the aspirant is born on a jeweled pond of the western land of utmost bliss. After 7 days, the lotus bud unfolds, and then he opens his eyes. With joined palms he pays homage to the world-honored one, rejoices at hearing the Dharma, and reaches the stage of a stream winner. After half a kalpa, he becomes an arhat. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the middle level of the middle grade. Those who attain birth on the lowest level of the middle grade are good men and women who are dutiful to and care for their parents and do benevolent deeds for others. When such a person is about to die, he may meet a good teacher who fully explains to him the bliss of the land of Amitāyus and the 48 great vows of the bhikshu Dharmakara. Having heard this, he dies, and in the short time it takes a strong man to bend and straighten his arm, he attains birth in the western land of utmost bliss. 7 days after his birth there, he meets Avalokiteshvara and Mahastamprapta, rejoices at hearing the Dharma from them, and so reaches the stage of a stream winner. After 1 smaller kalpa, he becomes an arhat. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the lowest level of the middle grade. These 3 together are known as the contemplation of the middle grade of aspirants and the 15th contemplation. To practice in this way is called the correct contemplation, and to practice otherwise is incorrect. The highest level of the lowest grade. The Buddha said to Ananda and Vaidehi, "Those who attain birth on the highest level of the lowest grade are the sentient beings who commit various evil acts, but do not slander the Mahāyāna sutras of greater scope. When a foolish person such as this, who has committed much evil but feels no remorse, is about to die, he may meet a good teacher who praises the titles of the 12 divisions of the Mahāyāna scriptures. By hearing these sutra titles, he is released from the burden of evil karma which has accumulated during 1,000 kalpas. Furthermore, this wise teacher advises him to join his palms and call homage to Amitāyus Buddha. Namo Amitofu. Calling the name of the Buddha extinguishes the evil karma that the dying person has committed during 50 kotis of kalpas of samsara. The Buddha then sends his transformed body and those of Avalokiteshvara and Mahastamprapta to the aspirant. They praise him, saying, "Well done, man of good deeds. By calling the name of the Buddha, your evil karma has been extinguished, and so we have come to welcome you." When these words are uttered, the aspirant sees a flood of light from that transformed Buddha fill his room. Having seen this, he rejoices and dies. Seated on a jeweled lotus flower, he follows the transformed Buddha and is born on a jeweled pond. In 7 weeks the lotus bud opens, and Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of great compassion, and Mahastamprapta appear before him, releasing great floods of light, and explain to him the extremely profound teachings of the 12 divisions of the scriptures. Having heard these, the aspirant accepts them in faith, and awakens aspiration for the highest enlightenment. After 10 smaller kalpas, he acquires clear understanding of the 100 dharmas and enters the first stage of bodhisattvahood. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the highest level of the lowest grade. Thus he is born by hearing the name of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, that is, the 3 treasures. The middle level of the lowest grade. The Buddha said to Ananda and Vaidehi, "Those who attain birth on the middle level of the lowest grade are the sentient beings who violate the 5 precepts, the 8 precepts, or the complete precepts of a monk or a nun. A foolish person such as these steals from the Sangha, or takes the personal belongings of monks, or preaches the Dharma with impure motives, but feels no remorse. Thus he defiles himself by evil karma, and because of this he will fall into hell. When he is about to die and the flames of hell suddenly close in on him, he may meet a good teacher who compassionately explains to him the 10 supernal powers of Amitāyus, fully describing the majestic power of the light of that Buddha, his virtues in the observance of the precepts, meditation, wisdom, emancipation, and knowledge of emancipation. When he has heard this, the evil karma which he has committed during 80 kotis of kalpas of samsara are extinguished. Thus, the fierce flames of hell turn into cool and refreshing breezes, wafting heavenly flowers. On each flower is a transformed Buddha, accompanied by bodhisattvas welcoming him. In an instant, he attains birth within a lotus bud on a 7-jeweled pond. After 6 kalpas, the lotus bud opens, and then Avalokiteshvara and Mahastamprapta comfort him with their noble voices and teach him profound Mahāyāna sutras. Upon hearing these, he immediately awakens aspiration for the highest enlightenment. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the middle level of the lowest grade. The lowest level of the lowest grade. The Buddha said to Ananda and Vaidehi, "Those who attain birth on the lowest level of the lowest grade are the sentient beings who commit such evils as the 5 greatest offenses, the 10 evil acts, and all kinds of immorality. Owing to such evil karma, the fool like this will fall into evil realms and suffer endless agony for many kalpas. When he is about to die, he may meet a good teacher who consoles him in various ways, teaching him the wonderful Dharma and urging him to be mindful of the Buddha. But he is too tormented by pain to do so. The good teacher then advises him, if you cannot concentrate on the Buddha, then you should say instead, homage to Amitāyus Buddha. In this way, he sincerely and continuously says, homage to Amitāyus Buddha, Namo Amitofu, 10 times. Because he calls the Buddha's name, with each repetition, the evil karma which he has committed during 80 kotis of kalpas of samsara is extinguished. When he comes to die, he sees before him a golden lotus flower like the disk of the sun, and in an instant he is born within a lotus bud in the land of utmost bliss. After 12 great kalpas, the lotus bud opens. When the flower opens, Avalokiteshvara and Mahastamprapta teach him with voices of great compassion the method of extinguishing evil karma through the realization of suchness of all dharmas. Hearing this, he rejoices and immediately awakens aspiration for enlightenment. Such a person is called one who attains birth on the lowest level of the lowest grade. These three together are known as the contemplation of the lowest grade of aspirants and the 16th contemplation.